Alrighty, daily trading recap. Let's get into it today. This little late night edition here on the Wednesday, the 8th of December, 2021. Very nice trading day again. A lot of opportunity out there. Always opportunity out there, but certainly a lot that we were able to capitalize on today. And again, continuing to expand upon this whole paper trading aspect for myself and just completely detaching myself from every idea and perspective and bias in myself and just opening myself up more to the realization that there is a whole lot that I don't know. I don't even know what I don't know still. So continuing to just scratch the surface more and more that way too, and loving every second of it. So we'll try to keep it concise, nice and ready to go for this little video here with everything we got going on with these tickers. Let's get, that's what SPY did today for market. Go over dollar volume just around the horn for reference for me. There it goes. Whoops. Okay, and then here it is. $223 billion volume showing on the NASDAQ for the day. Pretty low. Nicely, it's showing $266 billion volume on the day. We are after the close of after hours here, which seems incredibly low. I'm going to be shocked if that's actually accurate or not, but just for reference point, OTC is showing $2 billion volume on the day for today. Gosh, yeah, heck of a lot of winners. Pretty much almost 100%. Almost 100% win rate for me on the day after six or seven-ish trades in and out. Carrying some more overnight, which is, pounding into that, what this monthly goal is for the month of December of expanding my horizons and knowing that, I should have really been looking harder at those overnight trades and just playing anything through bypassing the day trade restriction that way. Pushing on those more too, because what of a opportunity those are. But yeah, we'll get into that more and more. I'm going off the rails. Let's just get into the charts here with this one today. Starting off with ISIG. Gosh, absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So going, while we're still in pre-market and I'm going through all my checklists and scans and just kind of started today too, also mentioning, or just for myself, pulling up each chart that I was interested in on the day and just kind of literally talking through a game plan, not recording it, not doing anything else, but just talking to myself a little bit psychotically and saying, okay, this is what I see here. This is my potential plan and kind of yada, 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 talking that way. And then, of course, I'm going over other scans, doing other things. And sure enough, the exact plan that I was looking to plot out just somehow magically happened in pre-market. I was saying on ISIG here for the move, this is the third day surge type of play that we're looking for after this crazy volume and this is that sub-million floater. I was saying on this one for pre-markets, okay, it's, if I can get the log scale right to show it better for what I was looking at. Okay, so this is where we're at of the downtrend that I had yesterday, a little rest day or whatever. And it's just kind of weak, kind of blah in this pre-market today, coming into market open. So I'm saying before we get any amount of volume or any crazy spike, my game plan was, I'm really just going to buy a full-size position here just under wherever it's at, market order, just under $10 here into before market open, if we're still holding this same type of pattern, of course, because I'm wanting to trade any type of just crazy spike. I want to be in potentially for any just quick short squeeze right out of the gate. That's just almost so impossible to get involved in. Because of how fast it can move rapidly against you for the sub-million floater, for how fast it's shown it can move on that first day run. I'm thinking it's what I'm going to risk here on this type of trade if I'm just getting short really kind of blindly and just randomly almost in this pre-market today, really just risking any hard dump. If I see hard red movement, we're breaking 950, it's just immediately dumping out of the gate. Okay, then I was wrong, cut it, move on to the next one. But not necessarily that trade thesis for me that I didn't take, but just was plotting out in my head, talking through it was, I think it could go crazy. And I think there's plenty of opportunity in there on the tank today. And this is just kind of a speculative, not so hard technical based. It was fine-tuned in the sense of understanding the characteristic of the stock and the potential that was there, but just not so obsessed with getting caught up in the weeds of the I have to pick the right exact precise level on this one, or identifying correct volume in the pre-market, whatever. It was just based on the fact that I have a great feeling on this one that it could go squeezing higher today. And sure enough, I turn around and I end up pulling up other charts and see it already spiking above $12 before market open there. I'm going, you gotta be kidding me. That's just absolutely ludicrous, but good to see too. And there was no news catalyst. It was just kind of random. And had I been actually long and actually taken the position on that thesis I was going to eventually do before market open, yeah, I would have definitely been out. If having an average under $10 and we're seeing it above that $12 mark, I would have been 100% out of my position, not taking anything into market open. That's what the trade I was looking for. And again, we're at the situation here that I continue to mention that DWAC style of trade, that DWAC on that first day. And for how many of these, and even relating it to the ISIG on that first day too, of can you continue to keep buying it after it's up so much? So does it, even buying it here in this consolidation where it's kind of obviously wedging or a little flagging point, where how the percentage move that it's already up, not only on the day itself, but on the daily scale too, for where it's been trading. Is there trade opportunity there? Even if that person told me that, okay, it's guaranteed that this is still going to have, 30%, whatever, 40% move here from this point, but also pairing that alongside with the reality that, hey, it's up like 200%, it's up like 300%, and carrying on the different market sentiments and different market environments that it's in, that can carry different weights and meanings. But these ones definitely show that the opportunity is still there, and you can kind of get a little bit undisciplined, or not so much undisciplined, but it does allow for a little bit of wiggle room to just kind of, you can get away with, and that's what I got away with a lot in that hot 2020 market, and learned a lot of the wrong lessons to start with, of just kind of buy it wherever it is and it's going to go up. And that's a good problem to have at times, but gosh, yeah, so many different lessons to learn from these ones, and great charts to keep in the book for future reference. Jack number 2 in the chat mentioned that this chart reminded me and then I'll also mention my short trade that I took here. Also, just carrying it super small, even on my paper side, just carrying super small position size, because I knew I had less conviction in it actually happening, and knew the volatility in the play in this one didn't necessarily have to happen from here. So that's why the risk reward was just not great. It was 1-to-1, if that, for what I'd be risking of high of day here versus for what I was looking to collect on the profit side. And fortunately, it ended up dumping there for a nice little paper profit on that one, and then just kind of squirreling around doing whatever it wants to do, range bound for the rest of the afternoon. But what Jack number 2 mentioned was somehow he remembered this ticker, like what kind of memory he has. MBOT on the 15th of January 2019, that this chart reminded him of. Obviously far different tickers and overall market environments for what was happening, and then different. This is second day play on this one here. I didn't look up the float or what was the fundamentals on this bad boy, but just judging for price action too, how he was seeing this one. And it's so funny to see how different people can correlate the same type of charts together, and that's what I'm doing essentially too, is just trying to plug and play chart styles and what these charts do, not necessarily getting so bogged down in one aspect of fundamentals or technicals, or carrying all different perspectives and all different analyses points on these types of charts that way. But yeah, kind of a cool little reference here for comparing that type of chart, as he was saying in an afternoon, saying, hey, I kind of get feelings of this chart, what happened this day, that it had a hard close on this day, but relating it more to today on ISIG, that just didn't really happen. So, but it's a great lesson though, to always continue expanding your mind and expanding the experience account of seeing what charts can actually do at some point, because I've never really fully experienced a chart like that MBOT chart I just mentioned. So getting to show and relive more charts like that too is a great experience nonetheless with that one too. So yeah, could have been a nice little awesome potential long there to start off the morning for ISIG, and then a nice little just tough risk reward trade for the afternoon fade style of trade on that one, but ended up being a nice little profit percentage move there on that one for how volatile this one is. Crazy boy. ENSC mentioned here. Man, what an awesome little overnight short on this bad boy. That's why it was paper. That's why I'm continuing this education and experimental trading aspect of it, just expanding myself. Golly, that is an awesome move that normally I would come to a chart like this and just not somehow, some way, just not really even recognize the opportunity of taking a short trade from here, from taking like a 3-2 area and being able to cover very nicely in the morning session here for call it a comfortable and easy sit. It can't really be that way anytime it's after hours, or if you're able to step away from the screens at all, it's tough because you still got money on the line, it's still trading, and not being able to play stops, of course, that way. But golly, 25% little profit on that overnight, and I was clearing out that trade and profit, taking the money as it was there, not when I had to, just because I was hoping and expecting, waiting for, as I was going through the trading thesis in the pre-market, talking with myself, I was looking to see, okay, I think we could get a little potential spike to short into again here for this morning. We get a reclaim above VWAP, maybe does whatever it wants to do, maybe 2.5 area, 2.6 area, identifying some key levels around there. I think I identified actually this 2.63-ish mark for where it perked to and failed from here in this pre-market, and then where it bounced from yesterday off of this little VWAP rejection. Maybe that was a point of some amount of weight there for some reason or another. That way too. Volume profile doesn't show anything crazy like that I was seeing in that regard. But yeah, just continuing to expand myself of, okay, what different technical levels can I see? What different fundamentals levels can I see? Every single aspect and perspective on that, and not being so tied to one, but looking at all these and saying, okay, why my trade thesis is this for this chart. Why should that not work? And identifying the reasons why those theses are wrong, theses, in a sense. So nice little, short cover here in the morning today. I definitely want to start doing that more and more. I was doing that for a while, that kind of like first green day overnight short, as that pattern was working pretty well. So we'll have to see if this type of pattern works continually on a repeatable, comfortable basis, comfortable to hold to it. If it becomes volatile, if it becomes just a lower probability of a trade, I definitely do not want to put my hand on that buzzsaw, especially going back to real money, thinking I'm saving day trades with that too, but just end up taking far more overnight fees and just stupidity from that type of stress of holding those overnight. But yeah, had a little grind for the rest of the day here. A little craziness in this lunch or afternoon session, and continuing to grind in the after hours here. So it could be kind of fooling around, doing some nice funky things going into the next few trading days here, the end of the week. That'll be on watch, continuing to play these nice little movers like that. Low float biotechs, we'd love to see it that way. ACET, next ticker I wanted to mention. And again, a similar one that I was holding overnight for just kind of educational. I thought it was holding well in the second day grind up. Is the float on this boy mentioned for me was 12 million. I'd love to see low floater biotechs. They do have a crazy amount of overhead, close to like $500 million through a shelf that I'm seeing here, which is just absolutely insane. And a $75 million at the money offering potential as well. So huge potential overhead there too in the daily, even that itself. Not that great. In this, I mentioned was that the first day with the big volume, it's in this little bit of an uptrend. So that does kind of turn me off a little bit for the inner workings of the feel of the characteristic of this chart. But yes, at times you just can't get past the fundamental aspect of it, that some days there's just huge overhead on these, and you can't fight the juice, we're going to call them. So the overnight shares I was holding, speculatively thinking we were going to get any amount of perk here out of the gate, and we ended up dumping a little bit with bigger volume, and I got faked out a little bit there, and it ended up reversing pretty nicely, starting to hold above VWAP again. I kind of take the same position against that for another continuous breakout here for third day play, call it, and breakout to really above where we were trading yesterday, above these little perks, these fake out attempts on that. So we got some nice strength there, and was stupidly somehow, I thought volume was coming in. We're busting to new highs here with very nice price movement. Okay, I've got time to go to other charts and look at my other positions and see what everything else is doing. And before I know it, within that 2 minutes, it's back at VWAP. And I'm going, wait, what happened? We were doing so good. Like, what's going on? Where's the volume? Where's it going? I went from just like it wasn't even a beautiful, awesome percentage move there, but it was moving nicely to all of a sudden it's just like this thing possibly couldn't work out anymore. It's just wow. So great reminder of that too. You can't just be so free and willy-nilly with your attention on these charts, and when the time is there that the price movement is happening, that's when you should kind of be looking at it too. And there's not a whole lot of flexibility that you can just go ahead and look away from these types of charts that way. So good lesson on that one. That thought it was working out nicely, playing the breakout there for far more upside than what was offered, and got slapped in the face with the reality stick on that one. So that was ACET, AUUD. Another kind of little morning spiker here. News catalyst that we had today, just as a refresher here quick. This was such a crazy fake out, boy, on me. I see not a lot of crazy warrants out. They still got like $4.5 million from their IPO, like at 450. So nothing ludicrous. I mean, they totally were blowing through that today in regards to shares. But yeah, looking for any amount of morning spike to short into. Thought we were going to get a little bit of continuation dump or just no opportunity to, or no spike to get short into. So just kind of sizing in, getting the cards going within the first 2 minutes of market open, as it was just dumping a little bit, testing the lows of pre-market around that 210 area. So start in there. We get a little reclaim. Thought we're seeing a perk here, a spike and failure here with big volume, testing that. So getting another size in there closer to 2.2. And then it just continues to hold up, but get bought up in this little red candle here. Just continues to consolidate, just not really dying, but also not going crazy spikeage. So I'm respecting that, understanding that could get a spike at any point, and saying, okay, if we do start to test this high a day here, I think it could get some, I could be in for a bigger amount of slippage. So I'm just going to play it safe and put my stop here, put my mental stop at this high of day. And we start to test that after this nice little green move. And holy fake out. I pretty much almost top ticket, just barely cover myself as we're topping above 228 here. And before I know it, some huge volume just comes in and slams this thing down to pretty much new low of day there. Absolute unit of a fake out. But I look back at this one as I'm pulling up this chart, I was totally wrong and got totally played like a fiddle. But man, I would not have gotten that with that cash account still, with the I only do one trade a day, or just whatever stupidity I was holding myself to back in these previous trading weeks before I went full paper, full experimental educational with this. Another great experience to be a part of, another asset to the knowledge bank of, okay, wow, what were the signs that now we can look back at this chart, the fundamentals, technicals, every aspect of this, and play it back to say, okay, there was something overhead that was ready and waiting for this to get to that specific key level and just torture it, slam it immediately within that 1 minute. And that's what I was kind of looking to be a part of, not necessarily predicting that at the moment. If I was, I wouldn't have been covering. But that's really what the trade was. That was really the only opportunity for market hours, especially, not that, to the short side in the morning session too. That's just what I want to be a part of. That's everything I'm gravitating towards with all of my strategies and all the charts that I'm seeking, is what was the full day trend sentiment for the day. And I want to be alongside that. The entries, the exits, they can all fine tune themselves out later. They're going to find themselves as we continue to grow as a trader, and watch the level 2 and time and sales more, continue to get more experience that way too. But got to be in the right charts, and we got to be in the right headspace to identifying what's potentially happening here. So was on the right track a little bit, but just still was able to get played by the fiddle. But that's the market on that one. Let's go to LEXX. LEXX. Very nice move in pre, just dumping pretty hard into market open. Kind of a shame to see the daily on this one is in a downtrend, but also shows this little one and done capability capacity. I wanted to pull up the chart on, that was July 21st, that last big volume perk there. July 21st, 2021. just as reference for when it had that last big volume day to show the potential of this one. And it's kind of eerily similar to the pre-market it had then. And gosh, look at here. This is, the short strategy I'm looking for, a little morning spike or VWAP rejection, call it, as it's opening below VWAP. I would have been potentially shorting into any little perks here, thinking I'm nice in the clear as we're about to test this low a day. And no, this is like taking it from 9 to, we're around 10%-ish. The bottom here would be a full 10%, but it's kind of around that area. But then it kind of starts to bottom a little bit, put in a base, starts to curl and presses pretty hard. And then kind of you get that explosion through VWAP to new high of day market hours wise. So having to keep that in mind and respect that capacity characteristic of this ticker for what it did back then, using that as a history marker potential for this one. But low flow biotechs, you can just always, I feel it's an overall market sentiment. I feel like I totally abuse that word and this sentiment over and over again, but it's totally true. It's this type of trade, this type of chart doesn't necessarily have to or all the time work in every single environment, in every single market, but it's just about playing what's right in front of you for the day, what the overall sector is saying, that these things are just going to do rinse and repeat over and over again. So even on my paper side, I was very small starting in short on this one, thinking, okay, it hasn't had a huge big spike yet or any real like true VWAP rejection or true little spike here, test of VWAP. I'm just going to start in short here because I think it could potentially just dunk at any point. So it does pretty much right after my entry, it does actually start to spike fairly with decent price movement with decent volume coming in, and then just bigger rejection volume-wise too, not so much price-wise right after that. So kind of sitting with a little bit of a hot potato within these next few minutes that it's okay. Well, we had big volume coming in, but we didn't die off or we didn't really spike hard either. So where are we going to go here? Just everybody's kind of stuck holding the bag at that point of, what are the next steps, and ends up that does actually fade, continues to break to a new low of day where first cover and continue to size out that way for what small of a position size I did have on that one on the paper side. Nice little decent trade there. But it's you can never be fully perfect with these types of charts. And even going through all my pre-market, talking through what I'm trying to see, I'm looking for this on this type of thing. You can't ever be predicting every single scenario. It's, coming from the world of baseball, you can identify pretty much every single thing that could potentially happen at every position, because that's what you're doing is going through while you have the break, while the pitcher's on the mound. You're going through the different scenarios and trying to predict your future. Hey, we got to run on first. Hey, if I'm playing shortstop, ball comes to me, I'm going to go roll the second, throw it to 2. We're going to turn a double play. If it's to my right side, I'm going to turn this way, do one of those little black moves. If it comes close to the bag, I'm going to take it myself, throw it to first. You can go through those scenarios and play out the future in advance, and then when it actually happens, you look like a genius, you look like a wizard, but you already play that scenario out in your head beforehand. Whereas this, same thing as driving a car, same thing as doing anything in the world. There's just a million different possible outcomes, or different time. I'm thinking of the TVA. I'm thinking of Loki, of so many different time aspects of this that could be this one single chart today. It's just continuing to be adaptable and prepared for anything to happen, which is really impossible to do, but that's what comes through more and more experience and continuing to dive in these charts harder and harder with this. So great experience nonetheless, even though I'm knocking myself a little bit because I wasn't able to fully size into my full paper position with that, but trend ended up working out, and that's the biggest part that I'm excited about. Is I can slap myself for not capitalizing more, whereas, man, I was just looking to get anything green in the past too. So we're making great strides in that regard on a lot of these charts. We got a lot of these charts to continue to go over. Man, this was just an interesting one. I look back at the chart and I wrote in my journal, I was just kind of calling the bluff today on the potential up move for this chart. We are in this, multi-day run here with decent little volume. The daily as well on a technical basis, we got this 2.5-ish mark, 2.5, of course, that $0.5 level area, but also just underneath that, call it 2.46-ish, 2.45. This double top on the daily, this big volume was more of the key indicator for that double top sentiment there. Recently back in, that was June. So looking at, for how hard of a sell-off this was in the pre-market today, for how almost exhaustive the move was from after hours yesterday as well, it's tough to think, to even rationalize, man, this, in order for this thing to reclaim, it's going to have to appease a lot of already worn out and abused bag holders. And it's going to have to put on its climbing shoes in order to reclaim that. It's shown that it can produce that type of range and that type of volatility, but just I don't think it's there. So, yeah, definitely different strategy. And I mentioned this in a few of the past daily recaps as well, too, that I'm all for it. While I'm in this paper trading mode, I'm all for getting stupid, for getting just looking back at these types of trades and thinking, why did you just continue to keep sizing into that trade? And why did you not cut here? Why did you not do this? And because the sentiment is there on like the LEXXs and the AUUDs and the, what was the other one? I didn't even see ACETs. We understand that these are crap companies. They're just manipulated and stupid, and they're going to, at some point, produce a price lower than what you are currently what it's currently trading at, because it's just up for baloney. It's up for no reason. We know their death. We know they're so manipulated, but it's just about the timing. That's what shorting is, right? It's all about timing. If you can't obviously keep holding these shorts if you're knowing eventually that, you know, the GameStops and the AMCs, they got to come down at some point, but that doesn't mean they have to come down within the next 6 months. That doesn't mean they have to come down tomorrow. They can stay irrational longer than they can beat the logic. I just totally butchered that saying. They can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. They don't have to obey logic, is the overall sentiment. But gosh, yeah. Just continuing to go, like, this was just kind of more of a picking tops style of just getting shorts here within the morning session, playing off of that thesis, calling the bluff that I don't think you have the strength to continue to go higher for what you're trading at today. It's just in this key battle with, what is that? Let's turn you off. Totally lost the train of thought there. So yeah, continuing to just little experimental day with, you know, picking tops and identifying, okay, I think this could be a little reversal point here. Okay, well, it's still going. It's not proving me wrong yet. Okay, we're trying these key levels again. We're testing the market hours high of day here, coming closer to VWAP area as well. I think we could put in a top here. Okay, 2.5, that key area. That was a perfect top at that point, almost a perfect little short at that top. Just continuing to size in almost stupidly, almost irrationally, but then kind of getting away or sneaking away with, we do end up producing lower price and nice opportunities to cover there. All right, then just close us out here for charts to mention on the day. EFOI, this was one. I got to record this nicely on the screen record for today for review. I just knew I didn't want to touch it at all for the sketchiness, volatility aspect of it. One of the biggest percentage moves of the movers today in the morning session. Get a halt out of the gate. It holds nicely here. 350, as Chris pointed out. Spikes all the way to 4.4. Just does whatever it wants to do. Bounces off of VWAP. Goes from bouncing off of VWAP to testing new high of day to right back down to VWAP again. Mind-numbing, stupid, don't want to be a part of it. But then kind of really very close to the end of the morning session here, just kind of fades, and that's really all she wrote for the rest of the day. Similar to what SYTA did yesterday, but yes, SYTA obviously a little bit closer to the afternoon session, that it started that hard fade into the close. So I'm expecting the same thing tomorrow out of EFOI that SYTA did today, where it's just kind of nothingness, bland price action on the day for how it closed that morning session and really how it closed the rest of the day here. Even though it is still up, it's just like, what is there to do? It's just, we'll see if it breaks out its range, if any volume comes to continue to support this thing to test any further craziness. But yeah, keep it on watch for right now. Also on the watch going into tomorrow's CFVI 30-minute floater. We got some nice move into the close here. After hours looking, I forgot that was on there. Nice little multi-day moves here that we could be testing a nice little breakout. This $15 key psychological level could be significant to trade around there. Keep that on the watch. And then AVCT, really looking at this one to short for how it's moving now. Closed very nicely for this after hours. And just judging that based off of the after hours it did yesterday and today, we could see a nice little fade all of the pre-market tomorrow. The news catalyst isn't really that awesome, and it's in this huge downtrend on the daily as well too, so just kind of playing off of that for potential short thesis paper wise, of course. That is Judas. All I had, such long videos, continuing to just gotta continue to fine tune and pick the important data to be concise and precise with everything I'm presenting, and just how I'm organizing in my head too, and that can definitely bleed into how I'm prepping in the pre-markets for each and every single day. That keeps me just more ready to go and streamlined in everything I'm doing too. So very excited in all of it, and very thankful for each and every one of you. If you're watching this far, please leave a like, hit that subscribe button, please. Thank you so much, guys. We will catch you on the next one.